A nice draw strip.
Looks a good one from here, doesn't it? But we're a long way away, so it's difficult to second gauge. But as ever, with these fixtures and with cricket at this stage of the season, it's going to be tricky. The first morning session, Lancashire will know that they've got a great chance here, batting first. It'll be interesting to get the captain's view later on as to whether or not he would have opted to bat first. But from this distance, it does look like a good pitch. The conditions look good overhead now. It was quite cloudy a little bit earlier on, but the sun just starting to peek through. And I think the forecast is good, isn't it, for the 4 days?
Yeah, pretty good. I think it's just a bit like this for the rest of today. It's sun and cloud. Bit of hokey-cokey on that front. Jordan Thompson is going to open the bowling then for Yorkshire from the Kirkstall Lane end of the ground. Umpires today, by the way, are Martin Saggers and Paul Pollard. Try and train the bins on to see which is which, unless you've already made that identification. I think it's Martin Saggers at this Kirkstall Lane end by the looks of things. I don't think he was waving at us. I think it was a scorer he was addressing at that point. And so Thompson in for this first over then, and that is driven beautifully through extra cover by Luke Wells. First ball of the match. It might have been just half stopped by Tom Loughton in the covers, but yeah, it comes to rest on the ropes. And so Lancashire have their very first runs of the first Roses match of 2022 from the very first delivery.
Oh, it was a lovely shot, wasn't it? It's a nice delivery to get first up for Luke Wells, who's in good form for Lancashire this season. And a beautiful cover drive. What a perfect way for the Red Rose to start this Roses fixture. Lovely shot from Wells. 2 tall left-handers out in the batting for Lancashire, Luke Wells and Keaton Jennings. It was Jennings' first game of the season last week. He got a century in the match against Warwickshire.
Thompson coming in and driven up to mid-off this time by Wells, and there is no run. Patterson doing the fielding. My apologies, by the way, folks. I mentioned the one change because Tom Loughton is in the side as well, having replaced Matthew Revis, who has been playing well so far this season, but I think just rested for this match. No injury that I'm aware of. And he's got through a fair few overs, hasn't he, as well as making contributions with the bat. So an opportunity for Tom Loughton, who's had a couple of those in first-class cricket in the past. 3 slips wait. Thompson is in, and that's pushed into the covers by Loughton. Is in to do the fielding, wearing number 40 on his back. So 3 slips, a point. Loughton in the covers. Patterson at mid-off. David Milan at mid-on. George Hill is at a wicket. And Harris Ralph looks like he's going to be opening the bottom from the Howard stand. And he's just a few touches away at long look. That's the way of things with fields. Scott's just popped off to do a quick update, but back shortly. Thompson again. This time Wells just looking as if he's trying to withdraw the bat, playing a leap, but actually gets something on it and pushes it out to point. 2 sides in good form so far this season. Yorkshire would have liked to have finished off a couple matches where they've had opportunities to win. Of course, they didn't get the opportunity finally to knock off the runs a couple of weeks ago because of that light direction one. There's Thompson again, could believe this time. Shaping across the left, the last Batman. He ends from the Kirkstall Lane end, from the non-striking end. So forward out loss in the early moments at Jonathan Doidge, if you want to get touch on Twitter. And BBC West Yorkshire Sport at Gmail. Get Scott details out as well. Comes on as Thompson is in for the final over, which Wells watches by. Decent opening morning. It's a little bit of a chilly, I've got to say, despite the fact that the side in the middle, Nonson's ball up over Ashfield and Revis is coming on to the 12th manning duties. So forward out loss after the opening over, and no alarms at all for Lancashire there. Just the one particularly good Jordan Thompson delivery as he tries to get the radar right, and Harris Ralph back in the side. He missed last week's match at Chelmsford with a little bit of a tweak to the side that he'd experienced in the first innings of the drawn game here against Kent a couple of weeks ago. Couldn't bowl in the second innings, and of course I think the camp felt that that really did cost them the opportunity of winning that game more quickly than they were able to try and do. Bowls with pace. Certainly bowls a good Yorker. He's bowled a short ball to good effect as well on quite a few occasions. Scott back with us. Ralph in his first delivery is just across the face of Keaton Jennings, who watches it go by. Have you seen much of Harris Ralph at all?
I'm looking forward to watching him. It's one of the kind of the nice little contests we've got in this game, haven't we? With him playing, with Root playing, with Anderson playing. There's lots of good names in this particular Rose's fixture. No, looking forward to watching him. First up, see if we can try and get something with the ball here. He's got 3 slips and a gully in place. He's got Keaton Jennings on strike. Yorkshire, Lancashire 4 without loss. He's in and bowling to Jennings, who just plays a little forward defensive. It bounces up towards mid-off, and there is no run. The conditions are miles better now than an hour and a half ago. We've got blue sky and sunshine. It looks lovely now. It was pretty cloudy on the drive across the Pennines this morning. It was overcast and a little chilly when I got to the ground, but much brighter now. The outfield bathed in sunshine, and the 2 shadows being cast from the players. And Yorkshire looking for a good morning with the ball. Jennings drives again, but it's stopped at mid-off and through for his first run. And Lancashire move 5 with Keaton Jennings, fresh from a centre last week against Warwickshire's first run of the innings.
It's an outcast job of a Rishworth area almost immediately.
Didn't instantly bright up, but thankfully now it has. It just must be a bit of a delayed start by Yorkshire this morning weather-wise. It wasn't an instant improvement in the weather as soon as we got across the moors, but it's better now. It'll change the field here. Still got 3 slips in the gully, point. There's a long leg, there's a mid-on, mid-off and extra cover. So mid-wicket's gone to extra cover. Already Wells has nailed one through there this morning. Ralph in and bowling, left alone by Wells and taken by the keeper. And there is no run. So Lancashire had a couple of wins and a couple of draws, unbeaten start. Yorkshire, Jonathan, steady start?
Yeah, win at Bristol against Gloucestershire, first match, and then 3 successive draws. Northamptonshire match, one that they could have won, and I think should have declared earlier than they did. Easy with hindsight and all that, but they said that they wanted 120 overs to bowl the opposition out second time and had that.
Wells waits and beaten on 4, and Harris Ralph just pulls away from his approach there. I don't know whether he just lost a little bit of rhythm or something didn't quite feel right.
120 overs, fine. That's one thing, but when you're looking at sort of mental targets in cricket, Northamptonshire had never won a game with scoring more than 400 in the 4th innings. So even if you're being conservative, 425, 430, something like that, 499 they left them to chase.
Wells waits again over the wicket. Ralph bowls, and that's turned away towards the onside. Picked up at mid-on, and there's no run.
And then, as I said, the game against Kent here, Harris Ralph couldn't bowl second innings, as I've just been saying, and I think the feeling all round really was, including from the Kent boys, that if he had been, then Yorkshire could have seen off the Kent batting lineup second time round much more quickly. Might not have even had to bat a second time. Certainly would have had more time to knock off the runs, and then of course, if you recall, they had the bad light which prevented Yorkshire from having a go.
Ralph bowls and angled down towards the gully by Luke Wells, just deflects off the face of the bat and picked up in the gully, and that's the end of the first over. Just a 1 run off it, that'll push up to mid-off by Keaton Jennings. So we've had 2 overs of the morning's play. Lancashire invited to bat first are 5 without loss.
And then last week at Chelmsford, I've got to say, in all the time doing this job, it was the most tedious game of cricket really. From about 2 sessions in, Essex was so slow putting their first day runs together, 2:30 odd at the end of the first day. Good pitch. Yorkshire lacking the express pace of a Ralph, who might have made a bit of a difference. So under strength in the bowling lineup, and it was just difficult to take wickets for both sides. Simon Harmer, when he's bowling 40 overs or so before he takes a wicket on his home patch, and with the record he's got at Chelmsford, you're dealing with something a bit different. So the pitch didn't make for great cricket last week. And there was a theory that Yorkshire would go out on the final morning with Brook and Milan in overnight and whack it around a bit and might have put a bit of pressure on Essex, and that might have been the case, but Milan was out second ball of the day. Thompson in and Jennings shouldering arms. So David Milan out second ball of the day. Not that they, if you like, gave up trying to set some sort of a target at that point, or trying to clock on it, I should say, and speed up the scoring process. But it just made it more difficult. Harry Duke's natural game, he came in next, is not really that sort of game. Or not that we've seen so far, if it is. Here comes Thompson, and once again, Jenny is able to leave. But actually, when you look at the pitch and what happened on the last day, anyway, even if they had whacked 150 in 20 overs on that final morning and stuck Essex in, it just looked, very, very difficult to take wickets anyway. So I think it would have been the same end result. So Keaton Jennings, slightly crouched, stands tall figure, of course, and gets an inside contact on this, and it was wide of off stump. One of those that you occasionally see batsmen drag onto the stumps, but not on this occasion. David Bates tweets, I did wave to you at Chelmsford on day 2 when you were talking to possibly your parents. No, they weren't at Chelmsford, but they were probably listening in at that point, David. Put it down, he didn't say so, even though you're looking at thanks for the wave. And then Jen again, not asking Keith to play at mate at this moment in time.
Hopefully it's a better last year. Got a bit lucky with Rose's game last year. They got great, and he out under a batter by a lot of rain, and it was too soft to play. So it was a frustrating few days last year in the Roses clash.
Yeah, Thompson very wide of off stump this time, and wide, but Keaton Jennings just watches it pass by. These two just been getting some boundary so far. The first ball of the match through extra towards the western side of the ground by Luke Wells. He's watching on at the moment from striking end, and in comes Thompson, right arm over the wicket, and very wide of off stump once again. And Jennings is able to watch it go by. So Jordan Thompson, I think, bowled probably as well as he has done with the new ball last week. God, I'll tell you what, the memory is shocking. Was it last week or was it last week? But not quite getting the radar right so far this morning, and the clouds have temporarily blocked the path of the sunshine for the moment.
Indeed they have, yeah. The games across the country are up and running. Every game's playing in Division 1, everyone's underway. Don't think there's any issues in Division 2 neither. No, everyone's playing as well. Coverage of all the games across the BBC Sport website and the app. The Division 1 table, as Harris Ralph comes in and starts a fresh over, bowls to Wells. That's defended up to mid-on and there's no run. Surrey are top, so 3 wins from 5 and 89 points. Hampshire is second, 3 wins from 5, 81 points. Both Surrey and Hampshire last week securing significant victories because the teams nearest to them both were held to draws. Lancashire and Yorkshire. Lancashire at Emirates Old Trafford, and Yorkshire, as Jonathan was saying, at Essex. Ralph's in, balls, that's cut for 4 by Luke Wells. Just a little bit of width there for the tall Lancashire opener. Just leant back, carved the ball down through gully and backward point, and he doubles his total. He's scored 8 runs and both have been boundaries. And Lancashire move on to 9 without loss.
Yeah, too much width from Harris Ralph, and was punished.
So Lancashire second, 72 points, just behind Hampshire, who are second. Yorkshire 64 points, 1 win from 4. Lancashire 2 wins from 4. Then Essex are 5th with 54 points. Warwickshire 6th, the defending champions, with 50. Northants are 4th, 40 points. Gloucestershire with 34. Somerset 33, and Kent with 30. Ralph's in and bowling to Wells, who drives, but to mid-off, and there is no run. And as well as the Roses fixture this week, there is the wonderfully named Cider Derby involving Gloucestershire and Somerset.
Looking forward to the derby next month at Epsom. And speaking of which, Marcus Townend of the Mail on Sunday, racing writer, has been in touch on Twitter as well.
He's Ralph running him towards us and balls to Wells. It's full but wide of off stump and left and through to the keeper, and there is no run.
Doing a spot of work yesterday at the first day of the Dante Festival at York. Oh, it's a great place to go, isn't it? Marcus will probably be back there again today, I'm sure. He says, morning, told you I'd be in touch. Little nugget for you. 2 players who represented the Pocklington Pixies as youngsters, Tom Lowton and George Balderson, in Rose's opposition. That is an interesting little snippet. Thanks, Marcus. Good to hear from you. Hope you have a great day. On Dante Day, will Magisterial win it for the Gosdens, perhaps?
Ralph bowling to Wells. That's full but wide of off stump and through to Duke, and there's no run. I've seen you bobbing about on different race courses over the course of the last month or so. You've been busy, haven't you?
Been very busy, yeah. Try and fit that in between cricket days. It's just something I've always been passionate about since childhood, really. Loved and do love my racing.
I've seen you on the course doing your videos.
Yeah, and York, it's sort of like the lords of
Okay.
of racing, isn't it, really?
Ralph to Wells. He plays and misses, and not a million miles away from edging through to Harry Duke. It's the end of the over. That one wide ball that Wells carved away neatly down to the boundary for 4. Then he'll have enjoyed the way he ended that over. Just bringing Wells onto that expansive kind of cover drive, but a play and a miss from Lancashire's opening batter, who remains on 8, Jennings on 1. We've had 4 overs of the Roses fixture, day 1 here, live from Headingley, Yorkshire, Lancashire, on the BBC Sport website and app, and on 5 Sports Extra as well. It's a Division 1 fixture between these 2 old rivals. We've got Root and Anderson facing each other in this fixture as well, to add a little extra spice to it.
Jordan Thompson then from the Kirkstall Lane end, in and passes umpire Saggers. It's a little bit tighter to off stump, but Keaton Jennings not interested in playing at it, and I think they've got to use this new ball better than they have done thus far. Try and get that radar right, try and put these 2 under pressure. Ask the batsman to play easy leads, just help the top 2, particularly when you've won the toss and put them in. Thompson in again. That's more like it from Jordan Thompson, and Jennings does have to use the will. I know. Martin Blanton, good morning to you. Martin of 7 Casino Night says, since taking over as the dot bowler, Stephen Patterson has won 29 of 35 contested, 2.85% win rate. That's just amazing, isn't it? He just keeps going on and on, winning them. Must be very close to Great Mountain 2022 percentage, as Thompson is in, and that's squarish on the offside. There's no run. Possibility of winning 9 or more tosses in 35 attempts is 0.0 in terms of odds. Patterson is 11 tosses in this 0.088%. As you know, Stephen's a notable athlete. Manus this time Thompson, and he's straightened up Keaton Jennings this time. Maybe we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was trying to set him up there. A couple of wide ones and finally get one straight, and it was a stifled appeal. So yes, he said, as you know, Stephen is a notable mathlete, maniversity subject, thematics, his university subject. I'm not quite sure what that means in terms of how it reads.
Happy with that one, mate.
9 without loss. 2 to come in the 5th over of this Roses match, and Thompson gets Jennings driving this time. So it's getting better from this Kirkstall Lane end.
The question is, of the 29 out of 35 tosses that he's won, how many of those games have Yorkshire won? Does he win the toss more often than not, as the stats would back up, and is he making the right calls?
You know, Yorkshire don't lose matches, do they? Oh, well, there was Old Trafford last year. Changing the com box, Reedy is going off for his first break of the day. He needs to lie down now and again, going for a sunbed or something like that, as the last ball of the over was a dot. And that means that Northern Diamonds superstar Katie Levick is sitting alongside for the first time today, first time in the match. She's there for days 1 and 4. Welcome back, Lev.
Delighted to be back on. What an intro there, superstar. Don't think you were referring to me as that during the Kent game, but I'll take it now.
Well, it's that few in between. It always helps. I can be bought. So Jordan Thompson, 3 overs, 2 maidens, none for 4. Harris Ralph's gone for 5 from his 2 so far, and he's going to continue at the Howard stand end, running towards us then, as Wells is able to shoulder arms to this one. Just wide of off stump. There's a definite upping of the pace when Ralph gets hold of the ball, significantly quicker than anything else that Yorkshire has to offer.
Yeah, great to see him back. Last time I was in the commentary box at Kent game, unfortunately we saw him pull out of the second innings, and I think Yorkshire desperately missed that bit of express pace, and certainly seemed to in the Essex game that you've so fondly spoken about as well.
Shocker. Here he is. Once again, that's fuller of length. Wells pushes into the offside. There's a little bit of a minor difference of opinion between the two batsmen as to whether there's a run there or not. Best round to do the fielding. No run. Luke Wells, 17 balls he's faced. Hasn't had to play at that many of them so far. Been out there for 22 minutes. And here's Ralph. Again, that double-handed ball carry as he comes in. Really does put his back into that one. Almost loses his footing and falls over. But unfortunately, after all of that effort, Luke Wells is not asked to play a shot.
Yeah, seems to have been just a little bit too wide outside off stump so far in his opening few overs, Ralph. It is his pace that worries people, but you need to get him to play to really get that into effect.
Sounds at the end of his run then, with the clean slate logo behind him on the pitch. First time we've seen that, I think, as Ralph comes in and again puts every effort into that one, but Wells comfortable at the moment by the looks of things with Ralph's pace, just pushes into the offside. They're playing reasonably centrally, certainly 2-3 strips across to the right of where they lined things up for the match against Kent a couple of weeks ago. If you know the ground at Headingley, the large white sight screen at the Emerald, the Howard stand end of the ground, so used to calling it that. It's pushed out into the offside by Wells, and there's no run. They're just on the left-hand edge of that sight screen as you look at it from the pavilion end of the ground. Square looks in good nick, Lev.
Yeah, it's nice to get this opportunity to have a look at the pitch when we'll be here in a couple of weeks ourselves. Our campaign gets underway on Saturday, so it'd be nice to watch the Yorkshire boys do some business today ahead of us.
Here's Ralph again, once more, wide of off stump, and again Wells not asked to play a shot, so quite a lot of energy being expended by these two Yorkshire bowlers and not asking the opposition to play at them. 9 without loss after 6. They'll be feeling quite comfortable about life out there in the middle, and Yorkshire supporters will want them to feel a little less comfortable.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Wells had a good start to the season. Jennings only in his second game, but did register that century in his first match last up, and I think it was an interesting toss to win. I think we were hoping for a bit more cloud cover maybe first up here at Headingley to support the bowlers, but I think they need to be asking more questions with our lines to be really taking advantage of this toss that we've won.
Jordan Thompson's first delivery then, just dropped into the leg side by Keaton Jennings. And no run. Tell us more about your opening match then on Saturday.
Yeah, so we're heading down to Loughborough to take on Lightning. We're in the Charlotte Edwards Cup first up, which is our 2020 competition. Really excited to finally get going. It feels like a long old winter, but finally here, and we're just really keen to hit the ground running.
Jennings waits, Thompson in, and again induces the drive this time from Keaton Jennings. Maybe just a little bit too much in the way of length about it, but it's getting better. Patterson does the fielding. Is it an effort, that first game of the season, when you get to your age?
I think everything feels like an effort at this age. This winter's felt like an effort, but the games is what we actually hope for, and they pull you through. And you know, I just have to watch Patterson moving around to know I've got quite a few years left in me yet, if that's the standard.
Thompson in, and that's straightening things up to Jennings, who's wrapped on the pad, and that will be. It was wrapped on the pad, but it's not given his leg by, so there must have been some bat involved as well for Martin Sager's thoughts. And so he's moving on to 2. Wells on 8, 10 without loss. I vaguely remember the days when I turned 30, and it was a struggle until about Thursday after you'd played a game. You getting that?
Yeah, this is our only day off this week so far, so I'm enjoying just the sitting down, to be honest.
Thompson in, that's the better delivery, which straightens on Wells. And he pushes it back up to the pitch to the bowler, no run. I just thought I'd get the ageist jokes in first because it's going to be open season once you start, I know.
Just having my second coffee of the day and then we'll start ramping it up.
I don't know what Reed is laughing at the back of the box. So 3 slips, point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, straight mid-wicket and long leg remains. Jordan Thompson's field is in again, and Wells just pushing forward, drops it into the leg side, no run. Absolutely no alarms whatsoever for Lancashire in this opening phase, having been put into bat. Put on a huge score here last year in the match that eventually fell victim to, well, the pitch conditions out there. Of course, everything has been relayed since then, so shouldn't be any problems in that regard this time around. Thompson in again, and Wells just leaning into that, pushing forward into the offside to complete over number 7 with Lancashire 10 without loss.
Yeah, slightly better lines and lengths there from Thompson. Be looking to try and trouble that outside edge early up here at Headingley, but yet to find that. Just a little bit of rhythm I think he's looking for at the moment. Hopefully Harris from the other end can continue his form from the opening few games that he took part in, and he was real impetus for Yorkshire to get those early wickets, and certainly need that now, having won the toss.
David Bates has got a tip for the opener at York, copper night each way. And Craig Trapps, good morning to you. No kids today, he says, but got you loud and clear on 5 Live Sport Extra. We're told these days it's Radio 5 Sports Extra. The live is no more.
Are we not live?
Well, we are live, but the live of the...
Is that a rebrand?
Yeah. Ralph in, and Jennings pushed into the offside. Thompson feels no run. Glad you said that, because that could have been quite a long-winded explanation.
That's the marketing coming back into me. I understand a rebrand when I see one.
I'm not averse to a long-winded explanation, as you know. What do you mean, yes? BBC West Yorkshire Sport @gmail.com is the email address to get in touch, or at Jonathan Doidge on Twitter, or
at Katie_Lev. I'm getting better at that. Last time I had no idea what you were pointing at.
Yeah, you kept looking across to your right. Actually, the monitor's gone. We don't have the streaming pictures in the com box as Ralph is in again. And Jennings shouldering arms. And there is no run. It's a strong Lancashire squad. Keaton Jennings, Luke Wells, Josh Bohannon, who's been scoring runs for fun this season, Stephen Croft, Dane Villas, dangerous player Phil Salt, of course with the keeping gloves, George Balderson, Luke Wood, Tom Bailey, James Anderson and Matt Parkinson. That's a strong looking Lancashire lineup, and they've got the nod to bat first by Yorkshire's captain here, Ralph in. Jennings shoulders arms, and if you're just joining us more recently, then the Yorkshire side, just to repeat: Adam Lyth, George Hill, Harry Duke, Joe Root, David Milan, Harry Brook, Dominic Bess, Jordan Thompson, Tom Lowton back in the side, with Matthew Revis being rested, Stephen Patterson of course captain, and Harris Ralph back in the side as well, having missed last week's match with a little tweak to the side in the drawn game against Kent here, which meant he missed the Essex match. Here he is, Ralph passing umpire Pollard, and Jennings dropping into the offside, and there is no run.
Yeah, glad to hear that it's Revis has been rested and it's nothing more serious. I think he's been a really good find at the beginning of this season. He's had a little breakthrough with bat and ball, and he's looked really impressive in those opening fixtures. Or another one from the Yorkshire age groups coming through nicely.
Ralph just going to switch now and change the angle of attack for the first time today, going round the wicket to Keaton Jennings. Here he comes, bowling from quite wide. It's a roundabout off stump, and Jennings has got a habit of dropping the ball into the offside and holding the bat with his top hand, his right hand, the left-hander, and pointing it down the other end to say halt, just in case his teammate was thinking of taking a sneaky single. Plenty of encouragement ringing around out there in the middle as Ralph comes in again, and that's a good delivery and about as good as we've seen in the match so far. Jennings doesn't look too perturbed as it goes by, but he was just shaping to have a little flick at that.
Yeah, much better lines there from Ralph as he's come around the wicket. You want to be challenging, you want to be making them think about playing the shots, because at the moment it's just being far too comfortable for the Lancashire batters to just shoulder arms and let it fly past.
So Jordan Thompson and preparing another over for the lane. He's not gone match, and 5 in total. But in question batsman, there could be more about identifying Thompson. And Thompson better, and that is a wicket. He has to, and he got an answer in the affirmative. Well, through Duke, and Tom at Lancashire 10 for 1.
You just have to wait for the Lancashire batters here. Wouldn't want that to get the bells and a feather through. Standard.
Oh, just standard.
Just standard. It's much better from the Yorkshire bowler there. Ask question and get the rewards.
And you do sort of wonder, new ball bowling, anybody who's done that before, it's not an easy skill to master. You know, plenty of professionals will tell you when you get that ball in your hand, you don't really know first ball which way that's going to go. You think you do. You set the ball up in your hand to do it, but you don't actually quite know which way the ball might swing, and it can sometimes be difficult to control. And that's just, there's been a feeling about that with Jordan's bowling so far this year, that in the early overs there's a little bit of uncertainty, and maybe it just needs that little bit of shine knocking off before that control really comes. I don't know. It's not something that we've spoken to him about, apart from him saying himself that he knows he could have bowled better with it.
Yeah, but at least with that uncertain early period, at least he's not going for runs in this game. He's kept the batters relatively quiet so far, even if not looking all that uncomfortable. It's all too easy to knock the shine off by seeing it sail into the advertising boards at the sides.
I know people will be yawning when I say the man that makes things happen, but he just got this habit of, even when things go quiet or things are not quite going his way, of doing something. And the first real, maybe bowled a couple more before that have been there or thereabouts, but there haven't been that many, and he gets the nick. And so, having won the toss, Stephen Patterson will be feeling a little bit better about life, that his openers have a wicket between them, and he's currently winging his arms around as if he's ready himself. Josh Bohannon, meantime, has come in and taken his guard and is flicking this one square on the leg side first ball for a couple. Josh, of course, right-handed, so now, having just started to control what's going on with the new ball, Jordan Thompson has a left-hand, right-hand combination to deal with. 12 for 1.
Yeah, and Bohannon, an informed batter for Lancashire. I believe he's their leading run scorer so far in the competition. But to be fair, their whole batter so far, so look to try and
Bohannon solidly, and then flips in base, so and continues. Low. Ralph has disappeared off to the other side of the field. If you yard from the back. Some good delivery time. Bohan was interested in it. Or right.
And absolutely when you first up, looked to wish to work, but and size and good signs from Thompson that he's already managed to adjust that line to the run. That's what you want to see.
Here he comes again, coming this 9th over of the morning. And delivery, dropped the length back slightly on that one, and it did deviate more as it went through to Duke, who took from Brook. Line the second, and Harry Brook improved at first up today, I should say, and then Brook third. Harry Brook, customary spot at first. So 12 for 1, last one of the over. Then past Saggers, and again, right on the money this time. So immediate gains, if you like. Maybe the confidence from the wicket, or maybe just bowling at the right-hander, but that was more like it from Jordan Thompson.
Yeah, it's a great overall round for him. Found that first wicket, got Yorkshire on the, and then followed it up with some testing lines there to Bohannon, looking quite threatening with the new ball now. It has just gone a little bit overcast here, and hopefully that will help assist further as we've got a bowling change here and the captain's on, Steve Patterson.
Yep, Patterson to come on from the Howard Stand end of the ground. And while he's sorting things out and getting his run up, we'll do a quick change over in the box because we've got a double change. So leave you with a few Lev.
Yeah, earlier bowling change here. Patterson, Mr. Reliable for Yorkshire. Be hoping to find some movement with the new ball whilst it is a bit overcast here. Quite a difference replacing Ralph in terms of pace, but he's always done the business for Yorkshire, and we're hoping to follow up from that great Thompson over.
Good morning, Katie.
Good morning.
Are you well?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, so what we're thinking then, 40 minutes in, 12 for 1. It's a pretty tight start, this, isn't it?
Yeah, evenly poised so far, I'd say.
It's Patterson around the wicket bowling, and Jennings perhaps just brings his bat inside the line and through to Duke. And there is no run. The way the game started with that 4 drilled through extra cover, you were thinking of Lancashire trying to set the tempo and get right on top of it, but it's been a really kind of tightly contested first 40 minutes of this fixture, and the wicket as well for Yorkshire, beautifully timed for them.
Yeah, that first ball did give you wonders of, oh no, is this a terrible toss?
Yes.
But since then it has been much more evenly poised.
Patterson to Jennings, and just tucks his bat inside the line and through to Duke, and there is no run. Yeah, but the cat blimey. What have I done here? As Wells nailed it through extra cover for 4.
I'm sure he could already hear the Yorkshire faithful chuntering in the crowd. Oh, what are we doing? But since then, dedicated lines from both bowlers, both openers, and looked comfortable, the batters, not had to really play it all that much, but equally not being freely scoring. So.
Yep, intriguing start. Here's Patterson for the first time in the day, and he bowls again to Jennings. Good stride forward from Jennings and just pushing, but maybe just playing inside the line, allowing that ball to travel through to the keeper, Duke, and there is no run. He's got 3 slips, Root, Lythe and Brook, the 3 slips. There's a point, extra cover, a mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a deep backward square leg, with Patterson running in from the rugby stand end of the front. Bathed in sunshine, 1 or 2 cloudy skies away towards the city centre, but he comes around the wicket and bowls to Jennings, edged. Oh, well, just perhaps bouncing in front of the keeper. I think a little nibble off the bat of Jennings. I'm not so certain if that carried or not.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it got something with the way that the slips have reacted. A lot of hands on heads at the moment, and Duke is still knelt to the ground. Did it get to him? Is that a spill early doors? Hope not for the sake of Yorkshire, but would love to see that again. But as Doige mentioned earlier,
Put his hand and slowly walk up like that to carry into Jennings. Keen forward here. He's onto the front foot once more. Just drops it out into the offside. Picked up by George Hill at extra cover, and there's no run.
Yeah, it's something I've struggled with in a few games. You have spilt quite a few that have turned out to be costly. It's good start from Patterson. He's got his lines bang on the money straight away, and he's caused that chance. So hopefully it won't be too long before he can create another.
Well, it would have been a dream start for him, and he picked up a wicket in his first over. The final ball of his first spell, and that's carved away by Keaton Jennings. It's an excellent stop, just backward of point by Dom Bess. And there's no run. I reckon Keaton Jennings fancied that for 4 as he just leant back and tried to carve the ball out towards deep backward point. And Dom Bess with a very good stop low down to his right to deny the run for Keaton Jennings, it does mean that Patterson starts with a maiden, but it could well have been a wicket maiden had that opportunity been taken by Harry Jeep, but it wasn't to be the case. We've had 10 overs of the morning session. Lancashire 12 for 1. Katie Levick has left the commentary box for the time being, and a very good morning to Dave Townsend.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning, listeners. Lovely morning. A little bit fresh. A little bit fresh, but when the sun's out, it looks a picture, doesn't it, Headingley?
It does, and there's a decent gathering of supporters in as well. It's Thompson bowling to Bohannon, who plays forward, but the ball's wide of off stump, it's left. Through to the keeper, and there's no run.
Not so sure about that. I've met some of them.
They're one or two grumpy ones already. Can't believe that. Ugly Mugs Cafe, other cafe shops are available. Well, that was doing a roaring trade, and everyone looked pretty happy when I walked past this morning.
They do a very nice bacon bap in there. I didn't have one this morning, but...
You're going to save yourself.
Oh, lovely.
You can't go all in for day one, can you? For
no.
That type of thing. Thompson bowls again, a straighter delivery. Bohannon does have to play and defends up towards mid-on, and there is no run.
Just started to wobble a bit, hasn't it, these last 3 or 4 overs? Not too much movement early on. I think he's, like you were just saying to Kate, that first delivery smashed through the offside. You thought, oh dear, going to be 120 for 1 at lunch here, but that's not the tradition in Rosie's matches. Always tight contests.
Thompson turns and comes back in again. Still 3 slips are awaiting. And that's driven away by Bohannon. Ball deflects up towards mid-on where Steve Patterson fields, and there is again no run. Yeah, they're good fun, these games, aren't they? I mean, the Root Anderson factor's an extra bit of excitement to the whole thing, but
fun.
Yeah.
It's a Rosie's match.
Oh, I think they're good fun. Ooh. Is it more at stake than just a bit of fun?
Well, you're from this part of the world, but Rosie's tradition, fun.
Thompson in, Bohannon again, just defends, snaps it up towards mid-off, and David Malan fields, and there's no run.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
They can get a bit lively, can't they?
They can, and certainly in the past, if you read some of the history, some of the sort of games in the 50s and 60s, and balls zipping about, and a bit much bigger crowd, and Yorkshire sort of 26 for 1 at lunch or something like that. Those sort of situations, they were really hard-fought matches.
Jordan Thompson right arm over the wicket, bowls. Bohannon defends. The ball disappears out towards point, and there's no run. This plays out forward defensive. The ball deflects away to Don Bess, and there's no run for Lancashire, who remain on 12 for 1.
Probably on exactly the opposite end of the sort of twin-eyed game in the Caribbean with the sun beating down. The Dower. Back in the day, and this has been hard fought this morning.
It has, yeah. Thompson has one that swings in towards Bohannon. He's got him, LBW. It's a terrific delivery. And Thompson peels away in celebration. I'm not so sure that Bohannon could do much about that. That swung in a little late to Bohannon. Tried to bring his bat down to keep it out. Big breakthrough for Yorkshire. Lancashire's leading run scorer from last year, already with a double century to his name this year, has gone LBW to Jordan Thompson for 2, and Lancashire are 12 for 2.
Yes, cracking delivery that when he's been moving the ball away from the right-hander, and Bohannon was getting across there to cover that, and then you get the full one coming in, and no answer to it. He's bat not coming down in time, and 2 wickets to Jordan Thompson, just as the ball started to do a little bit for him, and Yorkshire in the ascendancy here. 12 for 2.
That's almost about as much about the previous deliveries, isn't it, that one?
Yep. Yeah. He's been moving everything. So shorter length, but good length to the one that's going towards the slip, and that was a little bit more pitched up, wasn't it? And I think Bohannon, maybe if he'd have been looking for that sort of delivery, he'd have been whipping it through mid-wicket, but he's looking for the one that goes away, and maybe head slightly out of position, and there you go. Finger goes up. I think we could have given that one up here, couldn't we? It was.
So, yeah.
It looked pretty plumb.
Stephen Croft, the new batter, to join Keaton Jennings. So Luke Wells for 8 and Josh Bohannon for 2. The wickets that Yorkshire have prized out this morning, both off the bowling of Jordan Thompson. One caught by Harry Duke, the wicketkeeper. It was a very thin edge through to him, but he took the catch, and that last ball of Thompson's over, that Yorker that swung in late to Bohannon and trapped him LBW for 2.
So if you add in that miss in the last over as well, Keaton Jennings in Lancashire would have been in all sorts, wouldn't they? If that had been held. Difficult one. He was diving to his left and a little bit forward, Duke, but I think from the reactions all around, it was definitely a missed chance.
Looked a good shot, didn't it? Thompson bowls and Jennings drives through the offside. It's a decent hit for 4 through extra cover there. The left-hander facing when the bowling comes from the rugby stand end, but he hit it firmly, caught it very sweetly. He moves on to 6, and Lancashire move on to 16 for 2. Just looking elsewhere across Division 1, the wicket of Luke Wells, and indeed the second wicket of Josh Bohannon, the only wickets to fall inside the first 50 minutes in Division 1 games. Gloucestershire, Somerset 38 without loss, batting first. Kent against Surrey of 40 for no wicket. As Patterson's into Jennings, that's defended, and there's no run. And Northamptonshire 36 without loss against Warwickshire. So the 3 teams batting first have all made quite bright starts, in and around the 40 runs on the board without a wicket to fall. Apart from in this Roses fixture here, where Lancashire are 12, well, they're not now, they're now 16 for 2 in their first innings.
Big wicket, that Bohannon wicket.
Such a good year last year for the Red Rose. Josh Bohannon. Patterson to Jennings, it's left, taken by Duke, and there's no run. His winter, well, his year last year in particular, rewarded with a Lions tour to Australia, and the way he started this year, that double century got a couple of weeks ago, has his name, as well as many others, including the likes of Harry Brook in the Yorkshire team, that are being kind of suggested for potential England call-ups in the not too distant future, but not much more Bohannon can do now. Patterson to Jennings, just rocks onto the front foot, and the ball just shapes away into the gloves of Duke again, and there is no run. 16 for 2. So how have you been keeping then, Dave? Not seen you for a while.
No, I've been very well. Struggling on, you know, doing my best to wake up every morning as you do at my age.
It's a challenge for you, that, isn't it? It is. Have you seen much cricket?
I've been following a lot of the live streams. I've just got back in the country last week.
Patterson to Jennings, just onto that front foot as well, and just dabs the ball square of the wicket, picked up by Bess at point, and there's no run.
They're becoming very good, some of them as well, aren't they, with the different camera. I think a lot of people listening to this would have been used to in recent seasons just the fixed camera and the ball hit out into the deep somewhere in the air and you don't know what's happening, and then all the fielders jump up and yes, they caught it and all the rest of it. But now the live streams from the various counties are looking very good indeed.
Final ball of Patterson's second over, and it's left by Jennings and taken by Duke, and that completes it. And we've had 12 so far of the Lancashire first innings. 16 for 2, Jennings 6 and Croft on naught. And when you think about the very first ball of the match was hammered through extra cover for 4, it's been a very good response by Yorkshire.
And I should add, of course, that the enhanced in many cases by the excellent commentaries from you and your colleagues and the rest, bringing the game to life, bringing the pictures, adding words to the pictures. What about yourself? Have you had a good start to the season? I've got to fancy Lancashire for the championship this year. They do look very strong.
Yeah,
Can't see a weakness there.
Well, they've not lost yet, but they've won 2 and they've drawn 2. They've not massively been behind in the game just yet. So this isn't a nice little test for them, certainly. It's 16 for 2 in a Rogers match. Thompson's in to Croft, who's backing across and defending. And there is no run.
Were they bowled this morning, do you think? I
don't know. I mean, we're a million miles away, aren't we? But it does look like it's a good pitch.
There's a little bit of movement there, and now the bowlers are just sort of Thompson's just settled into his rhythm a little bit, hasn't he? He's causing problems.
He's back over the wicket to Croft. That's worked off the pads into the onside, picked up at mid-wicket by Tom Loughton, and there's no run.
I thought Harris Ralph was wasted a little bit in that first spell when they maybe bowling to a 7-2 field. He was a little bit too much outside the off stump to the left-handers, and trying to make sure that he didn't stray onto leg stump. Just from a Yorkshire point of view, disappointing, but certainly these two at the moment, Thompson and Patterson, asking questions.
2 for 7 is Thompson. That's a good delivery. Pushed a little bit fuller to Croft. It brings him forward. The ball just has a little bit of movement away from Croft and into the gloves of the keeper, and there's no run.
And that first wicket of Wells today only struck me recently. Just absolute how almost beautiful a dismissal it is, with a seam bowler just pitching it in the perfect spot. Just a little bit of movement, just kissing the edge as it goes through and into the keeper. There's a certain beauty to that, isn't there? Sorry, am I getting all poetic?
At 10 to 12, Crofty's forward in defence and the ball squirts up to mid-on. There's no run. You've been sat in the commentary box with the headphones on for the first time this summer, and already you got tears in your eyes.
Well, there just is. The batsman has played really. He hasn't done anything wrong, but he's just got it perfectly. He hasn't just missed the edge. Hasn't got a thick edge and run away down to third man. He's just got the right amount of wood on it. There's a beauty to that.
Back into Croft, who gets forward once more, defends. Ball rolls up to mid-on, where Steve Patterson fields, and there's no run.
Don't forget I'm in Yorkshire, though. Beauty about bowling. Ruddy hard work.
I guess it is when you've got loads of games on the spin, isn't it? At the start of the county championship season. Your bowlers putting the miles in. Hassan Ali rested for this watch. The first time he's missed a match. As Thompson's into Croft, who just leans forward, but tucks the bat comfortably inside the line. But a good over again from Thompson, causing 1 or 2 problems. And moving the ball both ways. It's the end of the over. 13 gone of the Lancashire first innings. 16 for 2. Jennings 6. Croft on 0. Both wickets for Jordan Thompson. 7 overs, 2 for 7 for him.
Patterson going to continue. He'll enjoy the conditions this morning, coming up the hill from the newly named Howard stand. That's going to be hard to get used to. We've been calling it the Emerald stand since it's been built, I suppose. A marvellous structure down that far end. First time of the season here as Patterson's on his way up the hill, bowls, and that's just allowed through to the keeper by Jennings. Start of every season for the last 4 seasons, come in here. And it's a good time to remember our dear old colleague Dave Callaghan, who even 4 years after he sadly left us, I still expect to see him coming sort of shuffling in with a big cheesy grin and morning lads, as he used to, Cally. Gone but not forgotten, Dave. Gone but never be forgotten. Patterson bowls again to Jennings, and that goes through, and he's taken by Duke. Duke noticeably standing a yard or so, a couple of yards closer than when when that catch sort of, or chance, he either spilled or it just fell short of him. I'm going to be a bit hard and say I think he did get the gloves to it. Okay. Certainly from the reactions of the fielders around it. Patterson bowls again, and that's driven by Jennings. Doesn't quite get hold of it. Diving stop in the covers.
It kind of went. It was certainly low down, wasn't it? And it was to his left-hand side. I say maybe if he did carry, kind of like ankle height, that type of thing.
Yeah.
It was a tough chance, wasn't it? But the way that Patterson turned round, kind of double teapot and went back to his mark, would suggest that maybe it did carry.
Also, the reaction of the slips was quite telling. Patterson bowls, and another drive similar to the previous delivery, but that one finds extra cover comfortably enough. Patterson bowling to a 7-2 field. He's got 3 slips. You're going to call him backward point. He's just backward a point. Short extra cover, and a extra cover behind him, really mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and nobody from mid-wicket all the way round, the deep square boundary, the fine leg boundary. Acres of space there without a fielder. Bowls again, and a nice drive this time, and a good double stop there from just a hand on it at short extra, deflecting it to orthodox extra again. So Patterson, just as he often does, you'll get into a little bit of a rhythm, work away on a spot, and try to find a weakness as Jennings allows that one through. Outside the off stump to the keeper. Scott looks at his watch. He's got to go now. What is it on the hour? Is it? It's Radio Manchester on the hour. Lancashire on the half hour. Is it? Yeah, it's okay. So forget these from year to year. Off to update them. Jonathan Deutsch moving in, 16 for 2. The first ball of the day was dispatched for 4. So in the 58 minutes that have followed Deutsch, we've just seen the 12 runs. It's been tough going this morning, hasn't it? Change of bowling.
Yeah, it has. I think it's been a gradual wind-up, really, by Yorkshire, because for me, there was not enough questions asked in that first sort of, 8 overs or so of the day. But then Jordan Thompson struck, got the second as well, and it went from feeling like not very many runs on the board, but not a lot of pressure in getting to that point, to suddenly you look at the board and think, if you walked on the ground now, you'd think they're bowled really tight throughout, wouldn't you? And they've got a couple of wickets as well. But I don't think that's quite been the case. Loughton, for his first class delivery of the season from the Kirkstall Lane end, and that's dropped into the leg side by Croft. There's no run. Tall figure of Tom Loughton. He looks like he's on stilts, doesn't he? He does. He really does.
He's got a pair of those legs that go on for a very long way.
Long levers. A couple of little jiggles at the start of his run-up. And he comes for a second delivery, and that's short and wide and hammered off the back foot through the covers by Stephen Croft for 4.
Yeah, he looks like sort of gangly teenager who's not quite got used to his new size yet, doesn't he? That's another boundary. I've seen a few through the offside this morning, but with the score 20 for 2, you'll appreciate we've not seen too many. Tell me a bit about this lad Tom Loughton. We pronounce it Loughton and not Loughton.
We do. He's coming in again, passing umpire Martin Saggers. And wide of off stump, and there's no run. Yeah, he's from York. He's 23 years of age now. Got in the side initially at the top of the order. It's similar to the Matthew Revis profile. They both started as top order batsmen. This would be Tom's 6th first class match. And I was saying it was his first class delivery of the season. Here he is again, and that's a better delivery. Croft having to push into the onside this time where Jordan Thompson feels it was actually. This is his first class over of his career, so he hasn't previously bowled in first class cricket.
Yeah. Certainly looks as though he knows what he's doing, that's for sure.
Yeah, he got a 50 odd when Tom Cole-Cardmore got a ton. Final game of 2019 at Edgbaston, in a match that was absolutely drenched, washed out. It was like a lake was the ground down there in Birmingham. Good delivery from Loughton, who tries the Yorker this time. It was wide of off stump, but Croft chopped it into his own pads. No run. So that was his debut. He made 58.
As a batsman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because, but without being unkind to him, he does look like a bowler, doesn't he? His physique, he's got a broad pair of shoulders on him, and he's had long levers. Looks as though he could be a very good bowler indeed in a couple of years' time.
Here he comes again then. Slightly side on as he runs, even coming in, and that's pushed to Patterson at mid-on. Final ball of the over. So 15 of them bowled so far. Lancashire 20 for 2. Yeah, recent performances with the ball in second team cricket for Tom Loughton. Well, they came last year. So second team against Warwickshire, 1 for 10, 1 for 46, 3 for 23, 0 for 13 against Derbyshire twos. Took a wicket in each innings against Glamorgan, 5 for and 2 for against Worcestershire at Scarborough back end of last season, and 2 for 10 against Leeds and Bradford University up the road at Wheatwood in the pre-season friendly this time around. So his championship appearances, like a lot of the younger Yorkshire players, have been sporadic so far, but he's clearly been brought in for the Matthew Revis role, like for like, having seen Rev perform well at the start of the season. First ball of this over from Patterson, dropped into the offside by Jennings, no run.
Always good to see a youngster coming through. He looks as though he's got potential. I know that's looks can be deceiving sometimes. Patterson, having started the over the wicket, is now going round the wicket to the left-handed Jennings. He's in, bowls, and just nudge that one away. That's the first runs we've seen, I think, today, through that gap between third slip and backward point. Don Best chasing back to do the fielding there. As normally, first morning, you often see that ball running away to the vacant third man, but it hasn't really been a feature so far. 21 for 2, field changing round for the right-hander. So Croft taking a very deliberate guard. 3 slips move over. More orthodox field this time, in as much as there is a man out on the leg side at deep backward square leg. Still no fine leg, long leg for Patterson. He's got a mid-on and a mid-wicket running up the hill. Bowls and watchfully pushed out to mid-wicket, completing the field a mid-off extra cover. And what are we going to call that? Backward point, deep gully, something like that.
Yeah, point for me. George Hill, by the looks of things. He's out down at long leg.
Yeah, he's moved around a little bit finer. Patterson bowls and carefully, watchfully. Crawford again. It's been one of those mornings. The sun's out, then isn't it?
It's good that you've turned anyway, Dee, because I know you had a long trip in this morning. In fact, you could have done the Brummel bed, I think, by
I'll
the
tell
sound
you
of it.
what, can actually see my home. So it's the old bound. Look, the homely, very good people run bowls, and that's pushed into the offside. Again, no run. 20. Hard work here.
It may not be 5-star, but rain or shine, you can guarantee DT will.
Well, yes, it's not a long walk. Not across the slimmer, even closer. The one in the ground, basically.
The stand away left.
And that is worked away at long leg. There's a 72 for 2.
Yeah, after the when she's going to be over there. Like, we might be back at some point later on. Teams are speaking to the partner.
Yeah, of course. You're very well done. You're about 10 at 20 this afternoon. What's all then? Yorkshire attack, which looks the for the 2 game. Good this morning. Keep tight.
Here's Loughton. Ball to Stephen Croft, who drops it into the offside. No run. John Dean says, as an exit York and Kent, enjoy watching live stream. Wonder why the camera switch to the other end and hits the ball. He looking at the ball on the wrong side. Des dropped in the first hours. Sean relieved that they couldn't Drake. There's not one down. Croft short hands.
Another kiss of that with Scott, with Harry. The fact that you're 2 feet, innings you get both up. Full of just string a bit away forward. So even though you're hacking out off stuff, he's got to have that protection on the eye.
Angled slightly towards Croft, but is able to watch that one go by as well. Not sure if you've given the goals out from elsewhere. Apologies for repeating anything
Well,
that's been
when
said, but
Scott did that about a minute ago,
Okay.
there wasn't another wicket Division 1. Have we had a wicket in Division 1?
not at Edgbaston, where Northampton 53 without loss, having been put into bat by Warwickshire. And Surrey also still intact, 56 without loss, having chosen to against Kent. Somerset 54 without loss against Lancashire, who went out at Bristol. As Lowton's next delivery, it sees Croft solidly behind it. There's no run. A couple of wickets in Div 2 at Derby, where Worcestershire 47-2, having been put in by the home side. At Durham 38 for 1 after 17, being put in by Morgan, who are the visitors there. Ulster home side 5 without loss against 6 on the bat. Looking in, it's full, and Croft pushes to mid-on where Patterson fields no run. And that's the second division, Nottinghamshire 8 for 1, having been put in.
Yes, it's to see Middlesex down there in the second division.
Point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and Ralph, hands in box down on. Another good had failed to snaffle one at third slip. Low. Can't believe he's bad luck. You'll see juice from Stephen Croft. It was travelling with it low to Harry Brook, but he's a good slip catcher and he couldn't wrap his mitts around it.
So it's batsmen here, 5 answers, and 2 batsmen be in the hutch as well. So could have been 22 for Flat. Would have been a dire start for the Red Rooster. Well, chances, catches, matches, also various cliches. It's true.
A lot of chances in Yorkshire. There were 7 in Chelmsford alone, 6 in the first innings. Patterson in and bowling to Jennings. Sorry, DT, that was yours, wasn't it?
Through
Dot
to the
ball.
keeper, no run. Yeah, as you say, he's a very confident man as well. You might say, well, what is he transformed it for? But often, if you're having a trot with the bat, then you know the catches don't stick either, do they? A confidence thing. Patterson bowls. That's run down to Brook at third slip, who does left salt, and no run there. Great to see him through this because he for 2 or 3 seasons really fulfilling it. I saw Century down at Chelmsford in I think that was 2018. That mad game Yorkshire bowled out for 50 and still won comfortably. Patterson bowls, and that's defended by Jings, who's not the best out. 48 balls he's faced. So doing his job. That's what might just have fallen in the keeper, but he could have carried. I think the reaction of the players as well, as you said, with those 7 chances going down at Chelmsford. Wider on the crease this time, and that's Jennings sting that one, and third man. So the score now to 26 for 2. So I mean, time's going down on necessarily the fact that due to the anything like that could cost us, 30 overs out here. That could. Patterson up the hill, bowls, and flirt that one outside the off stump. I thought for a minute he got a niggle because it had just left him in for further kick. No,
he
shouldn't
really
have had a go at that. He knows.
It's a big waft of the bat, didn't he? After he'd played and missed.
Jennings and just goes down, kind of down towards third man. The pad over. He's still wicketless. Indeed, Thompson, the only bowler to take wicket this morning. Yeah, call that a niggle. A niggle halfway between nick and a tickle.
And not an American coin.
A nick too, something like that. Plane going over. If we had Marty Emerson here, that was the 12:20 from a Cante or something. We don't.
Lowton and Croft dropping into the offside. No run. No. The Alicante flights don't go till after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So
DT.
Saw Marty on Sunday down at
11:45 from Fuerteventura.
So down at East. He was equal. He pavement recently. Left him with fractured eye socket.
Lowton in, good delivery. About that as well, actually. Good to Harry. Stephen Croft was interested in having a little nickel.
Yes, and a nibble as well. There's all sorts of going on there. A nickel and a nibble. Those.
The only previous time on Sunday nickels. On ball feeling for LBU, that was more than really going. The bottom Sigler Martin says a lot, but along with Florence left by them through off John Thompson 8. And then just 2 later, well on second wicket, Joe Hannon, just the 2. LBW to John Thompson. He'll watch our license. But twice in quick time, there's been a feeling of a little bit more pressure. Lawton's latest delivery is across the face of Jennings, his shoulders armed. Good drop to Jennings, we think, behind by Harry Duke, off the bowling of Stephen Patterson. Remains got by Harry Brook at third slip off Tom Lawton in his box at the end of the ground. Looking in this general direction, which has seen a couple of ground staff screaming out. Right, there's boards which is there's some reflection. Been distracting Keaton Jennings. Does he come in the over? Here's Lawton again then, wide of off. And the batsman having to go by.
He doesn't always seem to have his balance right as he arrives at the crease, does he?
Yeah, he's one of those. He's away, he's a quick run. A little bit start, then strides and sets himself slightly for an angle, as if he's kind of leaning in towards the umpire.
Here we go. Skip and another one there.
Wide of off stump. Jennings to watch it go by. And that will be the end of that 27-42. Yeah, looks like he might be on a sort of triple jump runway. Reminded of the great, Edwards, Willie Banks back in the day, somebody like that. Yeah. Next thing he'll be turning round to the crowd and doing this and getting them all going.
Well, you have a situation with some bowlers. Oh, Lev's coming back in, is she? Okay, no problem. But some bowlers, you could Patterson would be one of them. Unless he actually changed his angle on the crease, you could film his each of his run-ups, and they'd be almost identical. Whereas I think there'd be a bit of blurring if you were to put all Lowtons together. Right, I'll move out and let Lev back in.
Okay. If you're putting it in horse racing sort of parlance, I mentioned I've been at York yesterday. Tom Lawton might need the running rail to keep him straight, as they say about some horses. Get him across towards the rail. So 27 for you, Jevon, Croft 5, 19 overs bowled this morning. Both going Jordan to see. But end on that side and going well back left.
Good to be.
Making notes at the.
Yes, that's definitely what I've been doing at the back of the box. Not at all trying to sort out my own life admin.
No, we never do that when we're off commentary, obviously. There's Patterson again, passing umpire Pollard, just wide of off stump, and Croft, knowing where his is, sticks his front leg forward, and exaggeration of the shouldering of arms.
Most have been taking notes on how not to catch. Don't know what's happening with Yorkshire this year. We usually have such a reliable slip cord, and it's just not been going to plan so far.
That makes a change from notes on how not to commentate, which is usually the way when you give us a lecture at lunch. Patterson into Croft, who pushes up to mid-on, no run.
I've run out of paper for commentary on. Moving on to a new pad.
Graham Emerson. He says, I've just checked, it was a Jet 2 from Mallorca. Graham Emerson emailing in Martin Emerson, of our colleague up at BBC Newcastle, commentates on Durham. It's usually Marty who tells you which flight is going overhead as Croft pushes back to Patterson, no run. Just checked, it's the Jet 2 from Mallorca.
I'd usually be jealous, but I don't actually think I'd rather be anywhere else right now. Roses clash at Headingley, sun partially out.
Oh, come on, there speaks a lady who wants some more work on the commentary team this season, I think.
I'm not one to beg, but that would be nice.
Pato into Croft, who drops it into the leg side where Milan shapes to field but then doesn't. No run. Well, you're back, aren't you? You're back for some T20s.
Yeah, well, I say back, we're finally getting started. It's felt like a long old winter for the women's side of the game and the Northern Diamonds, but our season's finally underway on Saturday. Feel free to tune in on that live stream as well if you're not watching the Roses clash.
More passing air traffic. Come on, MO. That's the real MO, the Yorkshire MO. Sure you can tell us what it is. Patterson bowling to Croft, pushing into the onside off straight, and that will complete the 20th over of the morning then. 27 for 2. You reckon you can sum up those first 20 overs for us?
Well, no team's really taken it either way, still quite in the balance at the moment. When Yorkshire have bowled good lines and they'll be disappointed by the couple of chances they have put down. Could be a very different story right now if Lancashire were 4 down, like if we'd have taken our chances, but at the moment with Jennings and Croft, they're in good early season form. We want to see the back of those as quickly as possible and hopefully pick up a wicket shortly.
Tom Lowton then. A galloper, galloper, galloper. He sets off in with his couple of little jiggles, and he's through. It's wide of off stump. Jennings watches it go through. Harry Duke, interesting take, bowling over backwards.
Yeah, it's carried quite far through to Duke. He seems to keep moving, edging closer and closer for Patterson, but getting some good carry through there, Lowton. This is the first time I've actually watched him bowl live, and it's an interesting run-up. A gallop is probably the word for it, isn't it?
Yeah, it just reminds you of one of those cartoon runs where they jump off the ground, the legs are going, and then when they touch down, they fly off the end of your screen or whatever. That sort of a feel to it. Here he comes again. It's straight, round about leg stump, picked off backward of square leg by Keaton Jennings. Tom Bess returns the throw with interest, and they get through for 1. Lily says, good start by Yorkshire. Great to hear the fantastic Katie Levick and DT on commentary. But sorry, folks.
No mention for JD there.
But JD is still my favourite commentator.
Oh, I spoke too soon. I think you've added that last bit yourself.
Yeah, the tenner's in the post. Lowton bowling to the right-handed Croft, who pushes back up the pitch. No run. No mention from Lily of Scott. Poor Scott at the back. He's crestfallen at the back. He's bereft. The real MO says it was a jet 2 from Girona.
My Girona.
Oh, I like that. Couple of little jumps again from Lowton, who's in, and Croft driving a full-length delivery back at the bowler. Got his hand to it. Probably Lev, a good job that he did, because it was travelling a bit there. It might have gone past him for 4.
Yeah, it's a good job he is the height that he is, and he's got a good wingspan to get a paw onto that, because it did look like he was going to fly straight back down the ground for 4.
If you've not seen Tom Lowton in action before, and you don't have the benefit of pictures here, let's just say he's one of those guys who probably has to bend down when he goes through most doorways. He's tall. Not quite as tall maybe as Paul Walter, playing for Essex last week, 6'9", but the latest Lowton delivery is pushed out into the offside. George Hill fielding in the covers, no run.
6'9". He must get it through at a fair pace, surely.
No, not really. Just medium pace. He got 41, so that wasn't a bad contribution.
Okay.
His maiden first-class ton.
I always find it so disappointing when you see tall guys and they don't get it through at
Yeah.
a pace.
There's Lowton again, up there. Evidence of a little bit of an offering of a way swing, but it was wide of off stump. Jennings, Croft, I should say, did push at it, strangely enough, but no harm done. End of the 21st, 28-2.
Yeah, I feel like Croft just out an opportunity. All just a low toss. Almost accidental Yorker. Especially being hard to come by so far this morning. Have to put that one away.
You know, with Matthew Revis and Tom Lowton having started at the top of the order and then eventually they're working their way down, mainly because they're now being used as bowling all round. I mean, just wondering if in the Lev career, you know, having started off at 11, we're going to now see you kick on as a full-time pro, and we're going to see you back in the top 3 in the next year or 2.
Well, I did start off in junior cricket, opening the batting, funnily enough, as you mentioned. That career ended in the under-17s and moved straight to 11 for unknown reasons. But I'd like to see me climb up the order this year. It's something I've been working on all winter. Unfortunately, I'm victim of a very good batting lineup for the Diamonds, in which most of our top order are usually international. So look out for me hitting the target.
Well, that's the progress. For overs, 2 maiden, 1 maiden. The 2 maiden, not 5 ball was down the leg side. Jennings doing well to take that. I wonder if there's more ball for him. He's been used in probably more like 5 and 6 spells previously. That little lightning. And that's a good delivery with 10 innings into playing at it. It's probably 4th. And he plays just inside the line and through to Duke, no run.
Yeah, that's exactly where you want Ralph to be getting the ball, loosen the first up down the leg side, lead Duke to keep Jennings on strike, but it's straight on the radar there. Really after sliding up and try and keep him short, but not really losing him again when we have only got him for these opening games.
Here he is again. And a stifled appeal because that was there or thereabouts. There was some pad involved, I think, as well as bat. Jennings drops it into the offside.
Yeah, an animated slip cord in there, liked it. Looks like he just managed to get some bat on. But good sign the second spell from Ralph that he is troubling the batters. Jennings not settled quite yet, so try and strike while we can. Stay with him, Yorkshire.
12. Greg again by Ralph. For leg side against 2. But Ralph's a minute. Someone, if it's please.
To go what we have done in all that previously, the birds that we'll get into that one's card. More of the same.
Ralph to Jennings. Ooh, just play on his toes, really. Behind him, didn't watch about with Don. It might have clipped the bail, something like that. As it turned out, got into the right Harry Duke. It was an effort to reel it in cleanly first time. 13. You promised me, you said, Doige, when I come on air and you ask me about the Diamonds, I will not come out with all that rubbish professional cricket speak. And you just failed, isn't it?
Think about this. It's just, professional hat, being over in a good long about fans. And it's just my second vision.
Ralph. Oh, delivery. He did move his feet and still hung out off stumpish as it went by.
It's his first right-hander Ralph's ball this morning. It's hoping to challenge him a bit more than he's but he's just
in reason with Sigeru, this quick go. It's a good pitch.
Yeah, we have
Fundings, whatever.
No, soundbite bingo, say 100% good from the like you mentioned listening at times commit.
Low leg stump, nicely played. Again, will through mid. Oh, beautiful piece of 10. 35 for 2, Dennis 19. And Croft remains on 5. He opted on a few overs. So Lowton turns again. Goes to his run-up routine, and he's gone a bit leg-side-ish again this time and picked off a long leg, my best. Jennings 20. He's 6 for 2.
Yeah, Lowton not quite adapting his line left, but I mean, Jennings is his line probably needs to soar a little bit more freely when he's a bit on him.
Here's Lowton coming in again to the right-handed Croft, who hasn't scored for some time, and then puts all on him by dispatching a pretty ordinary short ball from Lowton for 4 square leg.
Not troubling about short ball, just a bit of a nothing that's allowed Croft to put his hands through it and get him into his innings. A bit slow so far for a start.
So 40 for 2. One of the wrist. He's already had Croft dropped at third slip. Tries to get him driving side. Does 38 deliveries Stephen Croft has faced. He's been out there now for 40 minutes. Including that square. A couple of deliveries ago, he's hit 2 bounds. To come in, Lowton comes in past umpire Saggers, wide of off stump, and got what he deserved. Delivery wide of off stump, crashed out for the back for Croft for 4 more.
Yeah, just looking a little bit tired in this Lowton. His lines haven't been consistent. It's given quite a few gimmies to the right hand, left hand bat, and it's not consistently finding a troubling line and length. Maybe time for a little bowling change at this end.
Yeah, 1 left in his 5th. He's gone for 18 now. Those of you, by the way, who are sending in messages with regard to the live stream, more in a moment, because Croft waits for Lowton. It's wide of off stump, and he shoulders arms, no run. As you may or may not be aware, but I'll remind you anyway, we're doing the BBC audio commentary here, which is overlaid over the top of the stream, so the BBC has nothing effectively to do with the pictures and all the rest of it as far as the streaming is concerned. That is a Yorkshire County